The 2019 Ricmotech World Challenge featuring GTD and GTLM classes, simulating the real series with multi-driver teams, official driver meetings, opening ceremonies, and experienced live race marshals, all leaving drivers with the full track day experience. Be a part of the 2019 Ricmotech World Challenge. Driver registration is now open. Focus, determination, passion, stamina, and the will to win. The end result, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment, and by Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics, live Mondays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to week 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you in part by Proforma Texas Elite Graphics. Today we couldn't really have got further away from the United States of America. We've headed down under to Australia, to New South Wales, in fact, to the Mount Panorama Bathurst circuit for another 90-minute endurance race. We're looking forward to it in the commentary box as well. And I'm joined by the two Tylers. We'll have Tyler Vickery along in a moment, but first we've got a man enshrouded in experience in a Mazda MX-5, or so I'm told by Alex Simpson anyway. It's Tyler Maxson, and Tyler, welcome. Mount Panorama Bathurst, for both classes, the Ford Mustangs and the Mazdas, it's going to be a very tough test, perhaps maybe one of the toughest of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tough test for those drivers. It's a very tight, twisty circuit, easy to make mistakes, and mistakes cost you a lot here. It's going to be definitely an advantage, I think, to the Mazdas. The Mustangs, I think, are going to have a little bit harder time because they're such a big car, but I think the Mazdas are going to be quite good in this tight, twisty section on the mountain. Yeah,
we're looking forward to it. Hopefully we'll be joined by Tyler Vickery a little bit later on. I know he has to rush from his base in Florida, but while we get ready, as the qualifying session comes to an end, we'll bring you through the grid in a moment. Let's take a look at what it takes to tackle this 6.14 kilometre circuit here at Mount Panorama Bathurst in New South Wales, Australia.
Welcome everyone to Mount Panorama, located here in Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia. Great to have you with us today as we provide you your track guide in the Ford Mustang around this beautiful 3.8-mile road course. This is quite a unique course as it's made up of public roads, primarily for the residents to access their homes up and along the hillside of Mount Panorama, which you will see here momentarily. The inaugural event here was the Australian Grand Prix in 1938, which saw Peter Whitehead take the victory. They say the public is welcome to drive this course when events aren't taking place. However, the local police do monitor it heavily and limit your speed to just 37 miles per hour. Well, we will certainly be exceeding that today as we begin our track guide around this high-speed, high-adrenaline road course. As we head up the main straight, underneath the walkway, you'll notice the pit area to our left as we head down here to turn 1, also known as Hell's Corner. Very important corner to get a good apex here and get a good fast launch off the exit. This takes you to Mountain Straight, the first fast part of this course and the first opportunity for overtaking here at Bathurst. A lot of draft on this straightaway as drivers will be climbing the hill, coming over this crest to head into Griffin's Bend. Turn 2, down through the gears, into third, roll the center, back to throttle, get that nice fast exit. Need to get every bit of momentum you can coming up through the hill here into turn 3. And this is where it all begins. The cutting, turn 4. Fast exit, up through the gears, over the crest there. Got to be careful with your shifts. Out of 5, up into turn 6. Fast right-hander, turn 7, fast left-hander. Down into turn 8, known as Frog Hollow. Out of turn 9, that car drift out wide, up over the crest, another blind entry into turn 10. Very fast exit out of 10, up into Skyline, my favorite portion of the course. Turn 11 to the right, right back to the left for 12, and hard on the brakes into 13 to the right. Down into the dipper, turn 14, out of turn 15. Back to the left for turn 16, and then another blind entry of turn 17, and down into Forest Elbow, turn 18. Very critical to get a good exit here as this takes you out on the Conrod Straight as we exit turn 19. Drivers will have a lot of opportunity here with the draft and the high speeds to overtake. This is the actual, or one of the actual fastest straightaways in touring car racing on the globe. Bringing us down into turn 21 here, drivers will race through this section called the Chase, down through the gears into turn 21. Third gear, roll center, back to throttle, up into turn 22 to the right. Down into my favorite corner, the final corner on the track, turn 23. See a lot of racing on the brakes through that section there as this brings you out to the final straightaway, the finish line here at Bathurst. We appreciate you being with us today. That's your thrill ride for Mount Panorama.
Thanks as always to the guys at Ricmotech for sending over a track guide for us, and a very interesting track guide too around the famous mountain. The qualifying session's just come to an end, and we'll run you through the grid of what is set to be another 90-minute endurance race. We have got the championship standings for you as well, as just as they finalise the order before we go down to the track. Team Bushvink's Aero Nom leads the way after a few of the rounds of the season. He's got a 43-point cushion over Cryptogy Green's Pat Iannucci. Only 2 points between him and Madhouse Racing 2's Robert Hartley. And then it's Mike Dam in 4th, Men Motorsports' Clint Vigus in 5th, and then a bit of a gap back to Flintstone Racing's Kevin Ford in 6th, then Leon Wright, Brandon Whitworth, Tyler Schiffler and Jeff Jacobs rounding out the GS Pro standings. In the Open, it's Cameron Bidwell. He's got a 16-point of cushion over Paul Gibson, and then it's Steve Daniel, Mike Monaghan, and then Team Trent Brown in 5th. Over in the ST Pros, this is the Mazda class. We've got Travis Schwenke, who's got a 12-point lead over Jim Liss, with John Allen in 3rd and David Payton 11 points behind him. And then Chris Tallman rounding out the top 5. And then in the Open category, it's insanely close, with just 3 points covering the top 3 drivers in the Open. Jacob Beasley, Derek Holland and Elvis Rankin separated by just 3 points. Holland 1 point behind Beasley and Rankin 1 point behind Holland. Then Edgar Sancinelli on 100 points in 4th, and then Bobby Charles 7 behind him in 5th. So that is the state of play in the points. Let's go down to the grid and looking how things line up. Tyler, it's a great lap by Mike Dam with just 96 thousandths of a second between him and Aero Nom. Nom, who's done pretty well this season in terms of the races, but he's going to have to try and get past Mike Dam in the early going if he wants to have a chance of winning this one.
Yeah, he's going to have to try to get by him early. That's about as close as I'm used to seeing in real life. That's about as close as you want to get in sim racing. So that those two are very close together as far as times go. It's going to be definitely difficult to pass here. So qualifying was definitely very important for all the drivers.
Really is, especially with a 90-minute Enduro too. This is where we're going to really see the strategy worked in terms of different teams potentially rolling the dice, because we're not just going to see one pit stop where you might try and judge it on half race distance and then go from there. We're really going to have to see what we're going to see some drivers maybe go for a very short first stint and maybe stretch out the middle part of the race, or some drivers do completely the opposite of that. So it's going to make us work hard in the commentary box, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make us work hard today, because everybody's definitely going to be trying different strategies. Who can try to get ahead of who and how, and pretty much anything that they can do to get by each other, they're going to have to do. And I think towards the end of the race is when you're going to start seeing people really take some risk and try and move up the positions, because they realize, oh, I'm down 30th place. I need to start making up positions now.
Here we go then. Ford Mustangs are going to get underway here at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. Green lights are on. It's Mike Dam leading them down into the first corner. Who's going to get it though? It's a straight up drag race between Aero Nom and Mike Dam. Dam on the inside, Nom on the outside. It is going to be the Crypto-G orange car that has the lead for now, but they're going to be 2 by 2 up the mountain straight. The Mazdas, you can see on the track map, they're just coming into the final corner now, and they'll be getting their race underway. They are about to go green, but we'll see how the Mustangs get on going into the first corner. Into turn 2, I should say, over the top of the hill at Mountain Straight and into Griffin's turn 2. Aero Nom's wasted no time whatsoever, Tyler, and he's got the lead as the Mazdas. They're going into the first corner, hell corner now.
Yep, that's Jordy Fink. I believe that's going up into the lead, and the Mazda staying in the lead. Travis Swinky on his outside, they're pretty much going to be 2 by 2 all the way through the field. Everybody just trying to figure out where they can slide in. You got Travis Swinky, and that looks like Jim List trying the inside. Eric Violet and Fink on the outside. And I believe they're all going to just try to file into line as they go up through turn 2.
All very close in the early going here as everybody fights for their own bit of track. Meanwhile, the Ford Mustangs are descending through the S's here. They've just gone through Brock Skyline. There's the dipper, left-hander, right-hander there, and out towards Forest Elbow. Not too many position changes in the Mustang class in the early going, just the changes for first and for third. Aero Nom getting past Mike Dam, and Tyler Shiflett getting past Patty Iannucci, Aero Nom's potential rival in terms of the championship. So that's the lay of the land there as they go down the Conrod Straight. In the Mazdas, just as Tyler was alluding to in the early going, everybody all still nose to tail. Schwenke has got about a half a second advantage over Jim List as they now fly down the hill. Eric Violet is in third. Geordie Fike is the biggest loser in the early going here. He's lost 3 places. And then John Allen doing pretty well in the Defined Autoworks car. There he is. He's gained 2 places since the start. David Payton has lost 1, and Chris Torman has also been one of the drivers that has lost a place at the hand of John Allen as they now go down the Conrod Straight. What kind of speeds can we expect these Mazdas to get up to here, Tyler? They're pretty quick down this part of the circuit.
Yeah, they're definitely going to, I think, at the end of the straightaway, getting over the 100-mile-an-hour mark, just over the 200-kilometer mark, as you're seeing down there. 5th gear for John Allen. As he goes down the straight, the draft in these cars were so much. I think that this is where you're going to see a lot of the moves being made, going down into the chase. is where you're going to see a lot of moves tonight being made. I don't think that we're really going to see much on the mountain. It's really going to be who can get the draft down the backstretch, because that's really going to be the easiest place to pass for all these drivers.
Really is. Completely agree there. Not many places around this mountain section you're going to be able to get an overtake done without potentially making contact with another opponent, and this series prides itself on most of the time having pretty clean races, and if any drivers do involve getting in any contact, they'll be certainly getting either a warning from the stewards or a form of a drive-through penalty. It is also one of the longest laps of the year. Even from a rolling start, the Ford Mustangs, their lap times were just under 2.5 minutes. As for the Mazdas, they were over 3 minutes. So it kind of shows you how little laps in terms of laps we're going to be getting around here in the 90-minute Enduro. But at the end of the opening lap in the Ford Mustangs, it's Errol Nom leading Mike Dam. Then it's Tyler Schiffler in third, Patty Iannucci fourth, then Kevin Ford fifth. Sixth is Leon Wright, then Brandon Whitworth, Russ Ruddock, Steve Daniel in ninth, Mike Monaghan in 10th, and Robert Brist in 11th. That is the state of play in the Fords. In the Mazdas, it's Fenke, then List, Violet, Fike, Allen, Payton, Torman, Rankin, and Jacob Beasley rounding up the top 10 there as well. Bit of front right damage, it looks like, to Mike Dam there in the early going so far. Or is that just the paint scheme, Tyler? Hard to tell, but I think he might have picked up some early damage there, Mike Dam.
I believe he's picked up some early damage. I can see it a little bit. It looks like it's bent in a little bit, so it must have made contact with the wall or anything, because I don't see any damage on anyone else's car, so it must have just made a little bit of contact with the wall or something like that. Aaron Nom leads him just by about 3/10. So these guys, I think, are going to be the two that are going to be checking out tonight. They're definitely very fast, and we're very, very close in times in qualifying. They got 1.5 seconds now on Tyler Schifflet in third. And he's getting challenged by Pat and Chinucci as they're going to head down the mountain straight.
Obviously, the slipstream and the Mazda far superior to the Fords, but hopefully this mountain straight can give us a bit of an eye on how these drivers will be able to tow each other down the straight. And it's not too bad. Maybe on the Conrod straight, Patty Iannucci might have fancied his chances of getting past Tyler Schifflet there, but a little opening for everybody watching at home to see how Patty Iannucci can close up to the rear of Tyler Schifflet. Schifflet driving for Mare Motorsports. Patty Iannucci in the Cryptogy green car. Easy to tell the difference, obviously. Iannucci's car is literally bright green. You can see some of the lap times getting set by the Mazdas too. 2 minutes 33 is getting set, which you did allude to at the beginning of the show, Tyler. Really, this there wouldn't really be too much between the Fords and the Mazdas around here, especially around this part of the circuit, the mountain, where the Mazda will probably handle a bit better than the Ford Mustang.
Yeah, the Mazda's definitely going to handle a lot better through the tight and twisty stuff, and I think that, I mean, if you can see by the timing, it's just about 10 seconds the difference between them, which is not much compared to what we saw at Interlagos last round. There's a lot more time difference in that, so I don't think that we're going to be seeing a lot of lap cars. It's definitely going to be later on that we will see everybody getting lapped, just because there is not much of a difference. As you can see, Travis Swinke leads in the SD Pro class over Jim List. Eric Violet second, Fike third, and Allen fifth as they head through Quarry Bend.
Very close here. Also very close here in the battle for third. We just left it, but it was getting pretty close going down the Conrod Straight. I think Iannucci has got past, and he has. He's got past Tyler Schifflet, so the Cryptogy green car through into third place. Tyler Schifflet down to fourth. Not really much time wasted there at all. Here is a replay of how it happened. And it looks like going to be the full-on slingshot. Got a good run on the exit of the elbow in the Cryptogy green car. Patty Iannucci, the American, just slipstreams by and up into third place, back to where he started. Maybe now he can chase down Mike Dam, but with a 3 second deficit already, he's not going to be getting much help in terms of the slipstream, if at all. Tyler is going to have to close them down by setting some quicker lap times.
Yeah, he's definitely going to do a lot of work. It's not smart for these guys to be battling. Even if you lose a lot of time behind the driver, sometimes it's just better just to stay behind him and push, or try to just not pass as little as possible, especially whenever you've got near a 2.5 to maybe 3 second gap. it's going to be a lot of work to catch that up, especially with those two guys not really passing and just staying in line going down the straightaways. It's going to be hard to catch them.
Good battle going on here in the ST class in the Mazdas. This is Elvis Rankin battling away with Jacob Beasley. Beasley's had a very good race so far. He's nearly going in the opening 10 minutes. He's gained 3 spots from where he started. As for Elvis Rankin, he started in P19 in class and he remains in P19. And a few personal bests getting put in by the STs too. These guys are a good 4.5 seconds away from the main group of cars, which is made up of 6 cars. 6 Mazdas: Travis Schwenke, Jim List, Eric Violet, Jody Fike, John Allen and Dave Payton. And when you've got a group as long as this, Tyler, it's going to be a great opportunity for these guys right in the middle of this pack to maybe ease off a little bit going to some of the corners and help maybe save some fuel.
Yeah, this is definitely the prime spot to be whenever you're in a 6-car pack. It's you definitely want to be in the middle of the pack. Or I mean, even best spot for me personally is always second place, because you can just kind of lift off, save some fuel, and you don't really have to worry about anybody really trying to challenge you from behind, because everybody knows in these Mazdas that you just kind of have to just stay in line, whether the person in front of you is kind of holding you up or not. It's just better just to kind of just stay in line. But yeah, it's definitely a good opportunity for these guys to save some fuel and maybe even save a little bit of tires for later on in the race.
I know you race Mazdas in real life. Is there any track in North America that is anything like Bathurst?
Not really. I mean, to be honest with you, Road Atlanta would be the closest to, just because Road Atlanta is the track with the most elevation change that I've been to. Tracks that I even know of, there's nothing even like it, though, as far as how close the walls are and everything like that. We got a couple of, like, street course type tracks, but they're not anything like this. This is definitely a very special circuit.
Really is. Don't know if the Aussies have some Mazda MX-5 Cup out there, but definitely would be awesome to see a race like that around. Usually tend to watch all the support races that they have leading up to the Bathurst 1000 every year. Always remarkable when that time of the year comes around. Here is Aeronom back at the front. We're looking back at the front here with Aeronom, Mike Dam in second place too. That damage doesn't seem to have hindered the Crypto-G orange car, and it is good to see Aeronom getting put under some pressure here in the early going. Of course, Mike Dam was quicker than Nom in qualifying earlier, but only by just under 1/10 of a second. And if you look at the lap times last time around, Dam was the quicker out of the two, but by only just 0.08 of a second or so. And these two really have set a benchmark to the rest of the field. They're 3.5 seconds ahead of Patti Iannucci in third, and he's only 0.8 of a second ahead of Tyler Shifless. And you can even hear when they're downshifting down the mountain, Tyler, they're really revving the life out of these Ford Mustangs, and all it takes is just one slightly mistimed gear change and you could end up with a blown engine on your hands.
Yeah, you definitely have to be very careful whenever you're really revving them that high. Everybody in this class really separating out and not really staying super close together. Everyone's very spread out, as we're noticing down the list. But yeah, Aeronom leading over Mike Dam, Patti Iannucci in third, but he's almost 4 seconds behind your leading too. So at this point, it's going to take a lot for him to catch up that amount. He's losing quite a bit every lap. So it's going to be a hard-fought battle if he's going to try to win tonight.
Back in the Mazdas, this is a secondary train that we've got here. This is led by Jacob Beasley in 7th place in class. And then it's Elvis Rankin. Then we've got Bobby Childs. Then Derek Holland, Lewis Loper, and also Chris Torman too. And maybe we could even throw in Ride-In Shotgun Motorsports Mike Taylor in there. I don't know if the team name is based on the song lyric by George Ezra. Who knows? But as we go down the hill, Childs is right in the thick there. Unmistakable to those of you that watched the Ricmotech Sports Car Series before with the bright pink alloys. Don't know if that's something that you've got on your Mazda in real life at all, Tyler. No,
I'm actually a very bright orange, black, and gray urban camo on my car. So mine definitely stands out, though.
Bet it does. I can just picture. You might have to send me a picture of it later as we get into it. Battle for second place overall in the Mazdas is looking pretty tasty as well. This is Jim List in the D2D Motorsports Gold car. He's got Eric Violet just behind him, and I think Bobby Charles might have just got past Elvis Rankin in that secondary group if we go back to it. There you go. There is Bobby Charles, and he's definitely ahead of Elvis Rankin. So up to 19th place overall goes Charles, and that will be 8th place in the Mazdas. Next up on his list is Jacob Beasley here, right at the head of the train. And with these races being so tactical, it might not be the best thing for him to get in front at this moment in time, Tyler, and maybe just sit it out and wait for the pit stops, and maybe with about maybe once you've got the final round of stops out of the way, and if you're still in with a shout of a win, then you decide to put your foot down and go for it.
Yeah, it depends on how much he's holding him up. If he really feels like he's holding him up, it may be a better idea. From what I saw, I believe Jim List had a bit of damage on the right side of that car, a little bit of right front fender damage, so he may have made contact with the wall a little bit further on the mountain. But there we go, Jacob Beasley down the inside of, I believe that was Bobby Childs, possibly?
I think it was Bobby getting ahead of...
Bobby getting ahead,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mike. Still getting used to how the timing screen works.
No problem. It looks like the display, the battles box, the battle graphic box, seems to have died on us. I don't know whether that's because of potential iRacing updates have scuppered the data or something. But yeah, that is one thing that we haven't got available to you today. Usually it appears on the bottom right and gives a few intervals. So that's why we've got the intervals for you on the timing tower. But yeah, Bobby Childs up into 7th place now. David Payton is quite a long way away. There he is. He is 7.9 seconds up the road. And you were mentioning Jim List. We can get a good look of that that Mazda MX-5 now. And yes, indeed, you can see that bit of damage on the front right of the D2D Motorsports car, just appearing there. Incidentally, those of you on the YouTube chat before we came on air earlier would have realised that, of course, with the hour going back in America, definitely. Did not catch me out at all, he says, at all. It's now only 10 to 1 here in the UK, actually. Usually it'd be 10 to 2. But either way, here comes Jim List. That extra hour will go for us in a few weeks when we change over to British summertime. Just want to point that out. The hour didn't catch you out at all on Sunday, did it, Tyler?
No, not at all. It actually helped me out a little bit because at least... not starting at 9 instead now I'm starting at 8, which is the usual time that I start, so it's a lot better now. Travis Swinky now got a 0.7 of a second lead over Jim List as we go back to Liam Wright in that Ford Mustang.
Yeah, I think he might have just gone off. That's why we're looking at it. 1-1-1 racing. It looks like he is going to go off just before. Oh, he hits the wall and hits the curb and goes for a bit of grass and gravel trekking. Could have been a lot worse there, but he's able to get going again, and it looks like for the most part that the steering isn't too damaged. Or maybe it is, actually. We'll have to wait and see when he gets onto the Conrod straight, actually, before we can truly assess the extent of the damage here. Let's in fact go with the cockpit. Is he having to crank it to the right a little bit? He might, actually. Yeah, I think he's in a bit of trouble there, Tyler.
Yeah, I can't exactly see it. I don't know why my cameras are all messed up because I'm used to using this on 3 screens now. It's down to 1080, so it's all messed up, so I can't see exactly, but I will take your word for it.
I think it is anyway. Maybe not too badly, but as he comes towards us going into the first corner, he might just be having to put a little bit of extra arm work in there. Might have to see if he has to continue with that for the duration of this race, as you can see now that Aeronom has got a little bit of a bigger advantage now than when we last checked in on him. He's got an 8/10 or bordering 9/10 of a second lead over Mike Dam. Last time around he put in a blistering lap, 2:23.9, which was 0.4 of a second quicker than Mike Dam's 2:24.3, and he even put in a purple sector in sector 4 as well, which is from the elbow all the way down to the chase. So pretty quick down that part of the circuit. Must have got a good run on the exit Forest Elbow, and now he's within distance of meaning that Mike Dam is without any help or without any assistance from the toe, which could be pretty crucial in the running of this race as we check back in again with the Mazdas. And just looking at the track map, so you can see where number 1 our race leader Aaron Om is. He's just coming up to starting. He's just about to start lapping the tail end of the Mazda MX-5 class.
Yeah, just about to start lapping him. So that's just going to be interesting. How are they going to be able to get by on the mountain? That's going to be what I'm worried about right now for the GS class. Are they going to get too impatient and try to go on the mountain? Because that can end up costing them a lot. As you can see, John Allen, I believe he went fastest last lap.
Yes, he did. Yeah,
232.8.
As
so they get by them on the straight. Aaron Om and Mike Dam get by them on the straight, so that'll be good for them. They don't have to worry about passing him up the mountain.
Yeah, you can see on the track map where the next lot are. They're just coming through turn 1 held corner now. So that is where they currently lie. And I wonder how long it will be before they catch up to them. Mike Dam into the pits. Yeah. Now, we are 20 minutes in to this hour-and-a-half race. And usually in the Mazda MX, in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series event, to make it a one-stop, they come in just after half an hour or so. So we'll wait and see whilst Mike Dam has got up his sleeve here. Looking at the strategy notes, which I haven't really gone to yet, the Ford Mustangs will get about 15 to 16 laps on a tank of fuel. So the race is expected to be about 38 or 39 laps. They will. This is what Kevin Ford was expecting. They'll pit around 30 to 37 minutes into the race, and then again with 25 minutes to go. So either Mike Dam is going completely off-piste here, Tyler, or he has got a problem that we don't know about. Maybe that damage might just be causing him an issue or not. But either way, he's coming to the pits now, and he's emerged in 9th place. 15-second stop for him.
Yeah, we saw that in the last round as well, where they were going strategies completely out of whack compared to what the strategy board said. And it looks like he had quite a bit of damage whenever he came into the pit, so that may have been the reason why he decided to come in. But Travis Swinky now has a 0.7 of a second lead. I believe the draft, to break the draft in these cars, you need about a second. You can just see Eric Violet and Jim List pushing down the backstretch. They've closed up just about 0.2 of a second now.
Indeed, yeah, going into the chase now. These curbs are monstrous, especially for Mazda MX-5s like this. Just trying to think of some of the curbs in America on likes of Road Atlanta and Elkhart Lake Road America. Don't really get any curbs as big as that. Perfect for curb hopping in a heavy V8 supercar, but in a Mazda MX-5, bit of a roadster, but then it could really upset the balance if you're trying to go through the chase, for example, or maybe even through the S's.
Yeah, honestly, I've done it in real life. It's a lot of fun, especially whenever you get something really big like the Turn 3 curb at Road Atlanta. It's a lot of fun just to jump those cars. This car actually takes curbs a lot better than most people would think. It really doesn't upset the balance of the car too bad. As you can see, Jim List now within 0.3 of a second of Travis Swinky, so he's closed up quite a bit in the last half lap on your race leader. Eric Violet kind of just dropping off the back. He's 0.6 off your leader, 0.3 off Jim List. So is that going to be? So this is a pretty tight battle up in the lead.
Just hoping that it continues after the opening round of pit stops as Russ Ruddock now comes into the pits, and into the commentary box as comes Tyler Vickery. Welcome. And yeah, are you just getting in the session now, or?
I am actually in the session, live timing up, and I'm good.
Fantastic. And yeah, pit stop's just getting underway. Mike Dam's been in, headline early pit stop. Now Russ Ruddock in, and Mike Monaghan also coming in too. So we were just discussing that this is pretty early for some of the Ford Mustangs, but they are quite known for rolling the dice before, and they seem to be doing so again.
Yeah, and honestly, with these, I came in time to see the pit stop with Mike Dam. I think, and looking off the notes of seeing how they were saying about the Mustangs, we're going to have about 15 to 16 laps on tank of fuel. Right now, there's from some of the extra stats I'm seeing, it's about 4/10 of a gallon a lap average, roughly. 4/10 of a gallon a lap, roughly, is the average fuel consumption for this car. So I can almost look at it as they might think that it could be getting about 15, 16, but at the same time, with it being a 90-minute race, these guys are going to probably either do a few short stints or, like in Aeronom's case, and I have a feeling this might be what Aeronom's going to do, wait until about the 30-minute mark, maybe if he can stretch it out a little bit further as they're on lap 10 to try to see if they can get even further and shorten the stint for the last half.
In terms of how you would split it out in the Mazda MX-5, Tyler M, I don't know how Alex separated you two in the comms box last week, or 2 weeks ago I should say, but as Aeronom comes into the pits now, would you do just three stints of exactly the same length, or would you try to mix up a bit with maybe a slightly longer second stint?
To be honest, I would just try to do the 2 longer stints just to cut out a pit stop, because it costs so much time. You wouldn't make up that time by doing that extra stop, and I think that this is very strategic by Aeronom right here, because he didn't want to have to catch the back of the Mazda field. He was just trying to come in, get his pit stop done early, so that he can have some clean track to just try to get as clean this laps as possible.
And we've seen before how long it takes in terms of getting the fuel in. It's only enough to change 2 tyres. After that, if you want to get 4, you're going to have to spend that extra time in the pits, and it looks like it was just the 2 tyres for Aeronom. Slightly slower stop as well, 2.5 seconds. So here comes Mike Dam. So Tyler Vickery, this might be pretty close as we got the mountain straight.
Yeah, absolutely. And the question is going to be is how well Ian Nucci is going to be able to have his in-lap, because with Aeronom and Mike Dam side by side now, heading towards, oh man, why am I not remembering this infamous turn here, infamous right-hander. With Mike Dam taking over the lead, Aero's going to have to really push a little bit to make this work, and looks like we might be going 2 by 2 all the way up towards the chase. I mean, actually, towards the mountain, I should say.
Yeah, here we go, into the cutting, and it is Mike Dam who has got the advantage. How crucial could that be? Maybe a slightly longer amount of fuel, or a slightly larger amount of fuel, I should say, might have gone into Aeronom's Ford Mustang, hence why his stop was 17.8 seconds as opposed to Mike Dam's 15.3 as they throw it at McPhillamy Park and now going towards Brock Skyline. You can also see that Pat Iannucci, Tyler Maxson, we were just talking about it. How would they get past the Mazdas on the mountain? It looks like they might have just got away with getting past some of them on this part of the circuit, but they are coming up to a very big gaggle of Mustangs in a moment. They were just going through the chase.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to try to strategically plan out their pit stops so that they don't have to, so that they have to battle with as little of these Mazdas as possible, because these can really slow them up, because there's really not a place to go 2 by 2 on the mountain. There's very little places that a pass can be made on the mountain, so it's a better deal for these guys just to come in, get their pit stop done early, so that they don't have to go by these Mazdas, and that's definitely what Tyler Shiflett's doing.
Yeah, Tyler Shiflett's definitely got the right thinking there. I don't know if he had it on his relative that he had basically a ton of Mazdas going that are in front of him or not, because he's definitely bailed and coming to the pits now, and you can see that Tyler Shiflett has got a good half a dozen or so for Mazda MX-5s to somehow negotiate on this lap. This could be a pretty interesting onboard as we go into the mountain section now. Tyler Vickery, he's going to get past 1. There he goes. But now he's got to get past another 5 or so and get pretty inventive too, because if you go too wide with some of these Mazdas through maybe the quicker parts of the mountain, this is really going to end in pretty much chaos.
Yeah, and especially with how we've got right now, as he closing on the 61 of Mike Taylor, he's going to be playing it cautious right now. He knows he's got to make some opportunities now. Ooh, okay, never mind. That's one way to get him moving. It's going to be a real interesting here making it through, and then now he's got to worry about Chris Thorman, Jacob Beasley, and a few others, but hopefully he won't be that aggressive, but we'll see here as he's gonna give another. Okay. Okay, Pat, don't scare me even more now.
Well, Tyler Maxson, oh my goodness me, that Mazda very much nearly went into the wall. That was Chris Torman, who's having the ride of his life down the mountain here as we go into the Dipper. I don't know if you've done many races in real life where you're in any multi-class races, but if you have you ever had to deal with traffic coming at you at a fair rate of knots like this?
Yes, I've done many multi-class racing. I actually haven't done a race so far, except for, I would say, one or two, where I haven't been in a multi-class environment. Yes, it's absolutely crazy whenever you've got cars coming at you at a rate of knots, and then just flying by you and not giving you any room, and just acting like you're not even there sometimes. I actually had a crash that way, which isn't obviously very good.
Well, Pat Iannucci's breathing a sigh of relief. He's managed to finally get by them, and maybe now he might fancy his chances of coming into the pits. And no, he's going to stay it out. Maybe he just wanted to weather the storm, and his strategy is to get to a certain amount of time, and he just doesn't care about the Mazda MX-5s. Don't really blame him. It could potentially work, as Mike Dam and Aero Nom both went off the circuit going through the chase apparently, and these two, Tyler Vickery, going at it again for the lead. The effective race lead anyway.
Yeah, provisional lead. But at the same time too, I'm keeping an eye on Iannucci's times as well, and Iannucci's been running pretty decent lap times. Most recent though he ran was a 2 minute and 27, and that was going around all of the MX-5 traffic. However, these guys once Mike Dam and Aero Nom catches up to that field, that gap's going to open up again. So I think Pat's going to run it all the way until it's empty, and then finally pit, and then we'll really see how this short stint will work out for Pat. I think Pat's looking at long run compared to Mike and Aero, who are still fighting it out.
It's great to see that this battle is pretty much the same after the first round of stops. In terms of the Mazdas, they haven't come in at all, and we haven't really talked too much about the strategy for the Mazdas. Tyler Maxson, as they come down the hill now. Looking at what we've got in the notes, anyway, they'll get about 17 to 18 laps on a tank of fuel, so we're expecting a 35 to 36 lap race for them. We're expecting them in around the 32 to 40 minute mark, and in terms of the Mazda strategy, is it probably going to be a bit more linear than, or pretty more straightforward than what we've seen so far in the Ford Mustangs as they come down the Conrad Straight?
You would think that, but these guys always seem to impress me with the amount of strategy work that they come up with. Personally, I would think it'd be a very straightforward, I believe it'd be a two-stop race, one or maybe two-stop race for these cars, but these guys seem to always come up with some interesting strategies, and somehow they seem to make them work every time, or most every time. So, personally, I would think that you would just come in at about the 32-minute mark and get your fuel and go back out. But you never know. We may see these guys come in maybe the 35 to maybe 40-minute mark if they were able to stretch their fuel.
Well, yeah, and in terms of the tyre game as well, the projection is that the Mazdas will take full fuel and then more than likely 4 tyres on the first stop and then no tyres on the second, or possibly 2 depending on how much fuel they need to get to the end. Of course, they don't want to spend any more time in the pits than they need to, as into the pits comes Pat Iannucci. Now, he was battling with Tyler Schiffler earlier on, Tyler Vickery, so looking on the timing screen where Tyler is now, P6 is just coming out of the chase. It looks like that he might have lost a bit of time. It all depends on how long this stop's going to be.
Yeah, and there goes just a blistering by was Mike Dam and Aero Nom, so it's going to be real interesting to see what happens in it. Looks like Iannucci might lose out the Shiflet as well, as Shiflet's going into Hell's Corner now. Wow, this is real interesting. Iannucci's still sitting there.
Now, 29 seconds is the longest stop of the day. Now,
why do I have a feeling? I have a feeling he might have been speeding.
That's what I'm worried about. He was revving the life out of it, and I don't think you'd be doing that if everything was going according to plan. And yeah, he's now rejoined behind Kevin Ford. There he is in 5th place in the Flintstone Racing car. We haven't really seen much of Kevin Ford today, but there he is. Car 32, sat in P5, and he's going to have to make the most of this now. Patti Iannucci stayed out. It looks like he's sped going into the pits. Now he's had to pay the price, and Tyler Schiffler is now 13 seconds up the road. He's either going to have to get inventive, Tyler Maxson, in the second round of stops, or his race now is going to be for this spot inside the top 5 of Kevin Ford.
Yeah, it's definitely going to have to get really interesting with his strategy here, because I mean, if he did speed in the pit lane, then that cost him a lot of time. If you do look at how much time he did lose. Back to your ST class, Travis Swinky leads over Jim List, just half a second between those two, and it looks like Swinky's going to come into the pits.
Well, there we go. The dice is well and truly rolled. You were saying you should come in at the earliest possible time, and look how quickly they go through the chicane there in the pit lane. They've all got to slow down to the pit lane speed, which is he says trying to get the, oh come on, why not coming up? He's trying to get the speedo to appear on the screen. Doesn't seem to be working for some reason. But yeah, Schwenke in, Fike in. You can see 2 tyres getting changed. The prophecy was that they were going to change all 4 in the first round of stops, and indeed Schwenke is. They were off the jacks very quickly there. You can see Jody Fike getting his changed, and away they both go at almost exactly the same time. 21.2 for Fike, 25.08 for Travis Schwenke.
I almost want to say Schwenke had a little bit longer stop as well than Jordy, so I wonder if Travis actually finished and waited for Jordy to finish up, and they're just going to try to draft each other, especially with how these MX-5s are in the draft with the long straightaways like this. I wonder if both of them are going to be working together, trying to catch back up and take advantage of overtaking Jim Liss and the rest of the MX-5 group that was in that train, and just be impatient.
Kevin Ford looks like he's about to get passed by Patti Iannucci going into turn 2 into Griffin's Bend, and through he goes. So that is Iannucci back into P5. Kevin Ford demoted back down to 6th. Project now for Pat. He's got an 11.5 second gap to close down to Tyler Schiffler, and probably make up the rest of his race, as we've got just under an hour to go now here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Tyler Maxson, one thing that obviously that Tyler Vickery just said then was that might have been waiting for Jordy Fike to emerge so that they have so that he has a drafting partner. But could also different fuel amounts be getting put in there? Maybe Schwenke going for a slightly longer stop in terms of fuel to maybe stretch the run a bit further.
Yeah, possibly. And he also came into the pits really, really hot. I saw him really get on the brakes as he came into the pits, so he may have had a speeding penalty. I don't think that that's very likely. But it's also really hard to say whether they're going to try to draft or not, because we saw Swinky just come out of the pits and absolutely ram Jordy Fike. As we see the little bit of front end damage on that MX-5 of Swinky. So it's hard to say whether these guys are trying to get in the draft. If they are, then they're obviously not doing a very good job of it.
Yeah.
As they're quite a big gap between each other. But it's hard to say at this point.
Oh,
very close.
Oh, boy.
Kevin Ford going for a trip to the skies then through the chase. Tell you what, there is a great launch pad on that gravel area over there that I have seen used before after the checkered flag. I haven't actually yet to see it used in a race yet, without ending in total chaos. But there you go.
I might have to make some talks real quick then to see if one of them wants to do that, because I have done that plenty of times before. It's actually kind of fun after you get the checkered flag.
It really is. I think we might have put a video of some of the Kia Optimas at the BSRTC having a go at it with some comedic sound effects of crashes going on over the top of it. There you go. That's what we get up to. Race order then. 37 minutes in. It's Mike Dam now leading Kevin Ford by half a second. Then it's Then it's Tyler Scheffler in third, Patty Iannucci fourth, Kevin Ford in fifth, sixth Brandon Whitworth, seventh Russ Ruddock, eighth is Russ Ruddock. Then Steve Daniel is retired to the pits actually, so we'll have a look at what happened to him in a moment. And then it's Mike Monaghan and Robert Brist. The state of the Mazdas as things stand, the ST class, is still in a bit still a bit all up in the air as the pit stops, as we were in the middle of a pit stop cycle. So let's see what happened to Steve Daniel then. He's retired to the pits. He's already got a bit of damage on the front right. Is this going to be the Michigan native just pulling over and calling it a day? Runs wide for the first corner, and oh dear. And he's blowing the engine as well. That's a double whammy for him. And Steve Daniel is definitely, Tyler Maxson, done for the day after that.
Yeah, definitely done for the day after that. I'll take your word for it. Again, I just can't see it. I don't know why, but all my replay cameras for some reason aren't working today. But Steve Daniel into the pits. There is your race leader, Mike Dam, over Aero Namj. Very close still between those two. And I think that's the way, personally, that's the way we're going to see them finish the race, is pretty much nose to tail all the way up until the last corner. But
who is going to finish ahead of whom? That is the question that we're going to have to wait and find out for. You can see a flurry of cars have come into the pits. Well, I say a flurry, two have come into the pits in the Mazdas. Jim List in the DTD Motorsports Gold, and Eric Violet in the EV Paints Mazda MX-5. That is that is going to cost him big time. I think he's just got into his box now, and Tyler Vickery is going to cost him a ton of time.
Yeah, that was a very awkward move into the pits, and with all the damage he's got already, it's going to be interesting to see how long he's going to be sitting in his pit box for. Looks like about the same time as there goes the 89 of Violet, and then Jim List right behind, so didn't hurt them too much, but yeah, it definitely caught Jim List off guard, and it could have been a lot worse.
Away they go. Yeah, it didn't really hinder him too much in the end. 30.35 second stop for Violet. Sorry, no, for Jim List. 29.03 for Violet. Also in have been Mike Taylor and Derek Holland. They've had slightly quicker stops, or one of them has anyway. Mike Taylor in the Ride and Shotgun Motorsports Mazda MX-5 doing a 23.72 second stop, which is one of the quickest we've seen so far today. It's running wide. There goes Eric Violet in the EV Paints car. One of the quickest stops we've seen so far today, with Mike Taylor doing a 23.7. The quickest is still Geordie Fike, and here he is battling away with Travis Schwenke. He did a 21.22. Wait and see if any of those stops get any quicker when we get to the second round of stops, as Mike Dam and Aaron Om have both got past the leader in the Mazda MX-5s, which is David Payton. You can see on the track map there. And here comes Aaron Om for the race lead. The Ford Mustang is going to take the overall lead back here. Don't know how hard Mike Dam's going to run him here, as they go under brakes into the chase they go, and Aaron Om is back into the lead again. All Mike Dam needs to do now, though, Tyler Maxson, is make sure that he can stay with Aaron Om, because he was able to do that pretty well in the first stint, and he was rewarded after the first round of stops with him getting ahead of Aaron Om.
Yeah, he's definitely got some pace, but it's definitely gonna be difficult for him. Aaron Om is a very good driver, very fast driver, very consistent driver, so it's definitely gonna be a challenge for him. But he kind of needs to stay with him if he wants any chance at a race win. He's just got to make sure not to overdrive that car and don't try to get too greedy or anything, because here, if you try to go push a little bit too hard, it definitely hurts you a lot more than other tracks and can even cost you a DNF sometimes. David Payton into the pits.
Joined by Rankin, Childs, Foreman and Beasley too. See these Mazdas getting changed tyres, Tyler Maxson, and does the grip go pretty quickly in these cars? Is that why they're trying to change 4 tyres here in the early going?
Personally, for me, I don't really think that the grip gets too bad on these cars. I think that they really hold tires for very long. It's one of the things I've always been very confused about, is why they change tires in these short races. I mean, 42 minutes into the race, they shouldn't be burning off tires that much, unless these guys are just pushing those cars that hard that they do burn off tires, and I believe that is Jim List and Eric Violet right ahead of Peyton, I believe.
Yeah, I think that is them going by. I was just looking feverishly through the rule book then to see if there's a mandatory rule on taking tyres. Couldn't see anything, so I believe it is just a thing of preference. And obviously, if everybody else is changing tyres, they're going to have the extra grip. Why do you not do the same? You're probably thinking, and that's probably the thinking behind it all. Good battle for 8th and 9th. Just trying to work out which class it is in. I think it is in the Mazda MX-5s. This is between Taylor, between Lewis Loper, and we've got a few Ford Mustangs to sprinkle into the battle as well. Tyler Vickery here. We saw it earlier on. Obviously, this is going to be the part of the circuit where the Mazda is going to be much more having a handling advantage than the Ford Mustang for this part of the circuit. And into the pits now comes John Allen from the lead. Now, John Allen is well known, as you've probably seen this season, a few times. Tyler Vickery for rolling the dice when it comes to these pit stops. But we'll wait and see what he does now as he comes into his pit box. The next highest Mazda MX-5 is Travis Fenke, who is just coming into the final corner now. And away goes John Allen now. 10.3 seconds. Quickest stop by a mile. No tyres whatsoever.
And he did not take tires at all. And I believe Schwenke and Jordy Fike are going through into Hell's Corner now. So John D. Allen with a great strat. Actually, still don't see him. There's Schwenke and Jordan Fike just going through Hell's Corner now. So great stop by Allen. And honestly, Allen's stop, that was the kind of stop I was expecting, was letting these guys take tires first, knowing that you can have, went a little sideways there as we went back to them, but knowing that you'll still have a lot of grip, and the tires do not wear as severely as the Mustangs do. So with these MX-5s, like what Tyler was saying regarding the grip levels and everything, why not just stay out and then next time by pit and take tires, or not even at all, depending on how the tire fall off is. But with that strategy called by Allen, I think that's going to be golden for him.
I think he's been listening to Tyler Maxson in the commentary box. I think Tyler, you were just mentioning before he came into the pits that you were a bit surprised at the amount of drivers that were taking tyres, and now he's taken none, and he has got the perfect track position. In fact, he's got an 8.5 second advantage over Travis Schwenke, and it's going to be really interesting to see if Schwenke can close that gap down now.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. He's down to an 8.2 second gap, so he has lost 0.3 of a second. You can see he's a little bit down on grip, but he's not super far down on grip. I don't know if this is a good strategy call for him, as Schwenke and Fike are very close together on the track, so they're going to have the benefit of pushing in the draft to try to catch up to him, but they're also going to have a large gap to catch in the next pit stop. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually takes tires in the next pit stop, or if he just tries to do this entire hour-and-a-half race on one set of tires. I can't imagine that he would. Trying to see if I could find anywhere where the track temp was, so we could see, because that also plays a big factor into it.
Track temp is 95 degrees Fahrenheit. The air, and that'll be 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and the air ambient temperature is 74 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yes, so definitely these tires will definitely be going off pretty quickly, because it's quite hot for the track to be 94 degrees. I have seen quite higher, but especially in iRacing, 95 degrees is definitely going to be cooking those tires if those guys are pushing them full on every single lap, like you can see Allen is. It's getting overlapped by the Mustang of Russ Ruddock. It's going to get cleanly by him going down the straightaway. That's an interesting...
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say for all you guys out in the Europe and everyone else that uses the metric system, if you guys were wondering what the 95 degrees and the 95 degrees Fahrenheit equivalents to, it'll equivalent out to a track temp of 35 degrees Celsius, and the air ambient temperature is 23 degrees Celsius.
So we were having temperatures like that a couple of weeks ago. It was bizarre, truly bizarre here. We were getting 20 plus degrees in some places of the UK. It's back to normal now. But yeah, everybody was getting very excited. Just put that out there. One driver that probably won't be getting excited is Elvis Rankin. He's had to tow back to the pits, or something's happened to him anyway.
He actually, and this happened about, I want to say about 5 to 10 minutes ago. He had a internet issue and dropped out, and he fell through. So he was able to reconnect and jump back into the car and get back in there.
Did wonder how he had to. Did wonder how he jumped to the pits without actually going off the track. So that explains it. And he's back on the circuit now. He is not the lowest car in class, but I think he might be the lowest car that is actually still running. Jeff Jacobs, Edgar Sancinelli didn't take the start, and Lyndon McMurphy has been in the pits for 9 minutes. He is and he isn't circulating on the track either. So that is. So Elvis Rankin is the lowest running Mazda MX-5 as things stand, but these Ford Mustangs, these two, show no signs of slowing down or falling apart either. In fact, this is the closest battle in class. The next closest battle after this is 2 seconds between Branton Whitworth and Leon Wright. So after the first round of stops, Tyler Maxson, these Ford Mustangs have really separated, and these two are the closest ones on the circuit at the moment.
Yeah, these are definitely the battle on the circuit. Everybody else is minimum 3 seconds away from each other. So everyone's very spread out in the GS class, but these guys have consistently been under half a second from each other, and definitely keeping each other on the edge and not letting each other make any sort of mistakes. This guy's definitely pushing each other, as you can see, taking a lot of curb going through the S's. And down the hill again. So, getting down the hill and getting ready to go into Forest Elbow now, and then onto the Conrad Straight. Wonder if Mike Dam is going to get impatient and start trying to make moves, because we are 50 minutes in the race. We still have 40 minutes left to go, so we're just over halfway through the race. But if he starts holding you up, you have the draft. It's not a bad idea just to go ahead and get by him, stay in the lead, because at that point you control the race. Then if you make a mistake, he has to go back by you, not the other way around. You don't have to try to catch back up to him. Does just stay behind him though, as we go into the chase. So these two very close together, less than 2 tenths, just about 2 tenths of a second. But then they got a 14-second gap back to Tyler Shiflett. So these guys really don't have to worry about battling yet. I wonder if they're just going to wait till the end and just try and battle once they have more like a 20-second lead, because they are pulling away from Tyler Shiflett at the moment.
Yeah, 14.3 seconds the gap between him and Shiflett. They're lapping about, just looking at the times they're setting, a couple of tenths quicker a lap, about 6 tenths of a second quicker a lap, and that's how the gap is getting extended. These two are the only drivers that are lapping in the 2-minute 24s. Everybody else in the 2:25s. Let's see if Mike Dam. He's definitely not lifting, that's for sure. As he gets into the right-hander, he's definitely going for it. But Aaron Om is probably going to be one of the toughest drivers in the business to get by here.
Yeah, definitely a very good driver. One last round in Interlagos, and I'm looking at the ST standings. John Allen is not doing a bad job out all by himself. He's up to a 7-second gap, which I believe where he was before. So these Travis Swinky and Jordy Fink are not really catching him as much as I thought they were going to.
Look at this. Look who's into the pits. John Allen is into the pits. So the 10-second stop. Now, could he make it to the end from here? That is the question.
For myself, honestly, it's just that seems a little early. But looks like now Allen is taking tires, but that's interesting call.
Well, John Allen's calls usually cease to amaze. So he is into the pits now. 4 tyres getting changed. It is a 26.97 second stop. We've got 38 minutes to go. And he is going to have to make it from here if he wants to stand a chance of winning. He has emerged from the pits in a nice pocket here. He is 6 seconds away from Eric Violet, and he is 12 seconds ahead of Lewis Loper, who is in 7th place. So that is the state of play there. So he's 13 seconds behind Peyton, and he's 9 seconds ahead of Lewis Loper. So that is the state of play for John Allen, and we are now just going to have to sit back and watch to see what the Defined Auto Works car, or where the Defined Auto Works car is going to emerge at the end of this race, Tyler Maxon.
Yeah, it was also a quite long stop for him, 38-second stop for him, so that's quite a bit longer than the rest of the field. So it's definitely an interesting strategy call, though, because I don't believe that he can go that long on fuel. 40 minutes is quite long to be stretching the fuel in these cars. If he does, that's an absolute hats off to him. That's an absolutely amazing fuel stretch. But out front right now, just Travis Swinkie, just about 1 second ahead of Mike Fink. Or Jordy Fink. I keep on wanting to say Mike. Jordy Fink in second, but they got quite a bit of a gap, just about 10 seconds back to Jim List and Eric Violet. So these guys really don't have much to worry about. Same with Aeronam and Mike Dam, who now has a 1.5 second lead in the GS class. But the 2 leaders in both classes really staying quite close together. And over in the SD class, even third and fourth staying also very close together. So just as I thought, we're going to kind of see more groups in the ST class in these Mazdas, because the draft is worth so much that it makes more sense for these guys just to stay together. And that's Travis Swinkie into the pits. These guys doing very short middle stints right now.
Well, there we go.
Mike and Jordy Finkin with them.
Now, if these guys take 4 tyres, which I don't think they will because they took them in the first round of stops, then Jim List will obviously re-emerge in the effective race lead. But they do change them. So Schwenke and Fike both go up onto the jacks. Those are the right side tyres getting changed. Are they going to change left sides too? Definitely Travis Schwenke. And as for Jordy Fike, he is just cramming the fuel in, and away he goes. He's a slightly quicker stop from him. Oh, he's rolling backwards, Travis Schwenke. No such thing as a handbrake in these cars anyway. And Schwenke, away he goes. Jordy Fike is back out on the circuit again. Where is John Allen? There he is. He's ahead of both of them. So this is really all up in the air. Aeronam is now in. Tyler Vickery, and so too is Mike Dam. So, as he blinks away there, this is the final. This looks to be the final stop of the race for these two, and whoever emerges ahead could really shape their destiny of who's going to win this race.
Yeah, definitely. It just very interesting for the Mazdas of when they pitted. But yeah, with Mike Dam, and Mike Dam's got to have a perfect stop here. He had a little bit of a bobble, does. It might give Aeronam the advantage. Pat Iannucci also coming into the pits now, but it's going to be a make or break for Mike Dam if he wants to be able to stay in front of Aeronam coming out of the pits. Because if Aeronam stays ahead of Mike Dam, and it looks like he will, and strategy call comes into play too, as Mike Dam takes 4 tires, Aeronam, I believe, only took 2.
19.5 second stop for Aeronam, Dam 22.07, and look what that's done in terms of the gap. It's now 5.7 seconds between Norman and Aeronam and Mike Dam, and we're going to have to wait and see now whether we can close that gap back down again as Aeronam emerges just ahead of Kevin Ford, who is yet to make his second stop of the race. Tyler Schiffler is your race leader at the moment, with Nom second, Ford in third. Easy for me to say. Mike Dam fourth, Dennis Brandon Whitworth, Patti Iannucci, and then we've got Leon Wright and Russ Ruddock, both in the pits for their second stops. Mike Monaghan and Robert Brist round out the 10 Ford Mustangs that are still currently running. here are the MX5 leaders again. Here is Jim List with Eric Violet in second. These two staying out with Dave Payton in third. Is he going to come into the pits? No, he's not. He's going to stay out, and this then leaves the trio of cars that have come in. John Allen, Jordy Fike, Travis Schwenke, and everybody else on the one stop. So with 58 minutes gone and just over half an hour to go, we're going to take a quick commercial break here on Apex Racing TV, and when we come back, we'll be ready to continue the second round of stops and the run to the finish, and what is really turning into an intriguing race here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series at Mount Panorama Bathurst. So we'll see you in a few minutes after these messages.
Are you a fan of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series? Now is your chance to show off your favorite sim racing series by visiting our online store. With clothing and apparel for women and men in all sizes, merchandise and gift items like coffee mugs, laptop skins, mouse pads, and many more items to display your passion for sports car sim racing. Visit us today at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and click on the online store button. Thank you for watching and supporting the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Are you a fan of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series? Now is your chance to show off your favorite sim racing series by visiting our online store. With clothing and apparel for women and men in all sizes, merchandise and gift items like coffee mugs, laptop skins, mouse pads, and many more items to display your passion for sports car sim racing. Visit us today at ExtremeMotorsports99.com and click on the online store button. Thank you for watching and supporting the Ricmotech Sports Car Series.
Welcome back to Bathurst then. Half an hour to go in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, week 6 of the season here. Mount Panorama Bathurst. Look at the amount of dead flies and whatnot on the front of John Allen's car. Bet that started off the race in pristine white. Now it's got loads of speckles of black all over it. Jordy Fike has just gone off the circuit. There he is, just going through the final corner, but he's back on again. Meanwhile, for the battle for the lead, it may be a brief lead. It all depends on the pit stops. We were just trying to make a quick sense of it all during this commercial break, alongside me, Adam Bath, with Tyler Maxson and Tyler Vickery, of what these Mazdas are going to be doing, because obviously we've now got just under a half an hour to go. In fact, 28 minutes and 24 seconds. Tyler Maxson and Jim List and Eric Violet forging their own path at the front, with John Allen, Jordy Fike and Travis Schwenke all vying over positions. In fact, Travis Schwenke's come back into the pits again while we've been on a break.
Yeah, it's very interesting strategy from those guys, because I almost have a feeling that they're going for a 3-stop strategy, but Travis Schwenke, that's really 3 pit stops that he's made, but they're all really close together. So I'm really confused on what these guys are doing as far as pit stop strategies go, but yeah, these guys always seem to amaze me, so we'll see how they end up going this time.
Tyler Vickery, it was just 9.1 seconds. That wasn't any way a penalty for speeding on exit, was it?
I don't think so. We'll have to look back at the replay, see if he even if he just came in, stopped, and went. The only other thing I can think of is potentially that he might not have filled the car up enough, and he needed to make that 3rd stop.
Well, just having a look at it again. Now that may have been him emerging from the pits from his last stop, but in fact it was. Just going to see if I can find him leaving the pits last time. And here he is. Here's the last time. Nothing looks out of the ordinary there, so this might just be something that we'll have to watch out for as the rest of the race goes on. Either way, it's still Jim List and Eric Violet leading the way. Meanwhile, in the Ford Mustangs, Aeronama's got a 5.9 second advantage. He maintains a 5.9 second advantage over Mike Dam after a slightly slower stop by Dam, resulting in Aeronama extending his lead at the front. It is pretty much nothing to see here really in the Ford Mustang class. Just looking at those intervals there on the left hand side of your screen, it's a 14-second gap back from Dam to Shiflett, and a 3.5-second gap to Whitworth, then another 3 seconds to Iannucci, and then 10 seconds back to Ford, and then Wright, Ruddock and Monaghan all evenly, heavily spread out as well. So the Mazda MX-5s is where it's at as we enter the closing stages of this race.
Yeah, the battle for the lead is still Jim List and Eric Violet out front. Less than just about 0.4 of a second as they go up the mountain. So just about 26 minutes left in this race. So not much time left in this race. I think that this is when now all through the field in this Mazda category, I think this is where we're going to see them really start to battle each other, try to start getting track position, because that's very important going into the last 10 minutes, especially here, because there is so little places to pass. There's really, from what I'm counting, less than probably about 5 places that you could make a pass safely on this track. So it's very important, especially going in the last 5-10 minutes. If you're Eric Violet and you're trying to make a move for the lead, it's important that you make it earlier rather than later.
Well, the other thing too, I'm gonna add into this as well, is these two guys are teammates as well for DTD Motorsports. So these guys are probably also playing the team game on trying to get maximize the most points for both each other as well as the team.
Yeah, you do have a point on that one. They probably are. It's hard to say though. As race car drivers, you really try and get every last bit of points. You want to be the top dog in the team, so that could be a good thing or a bad thing as far as how cleanly they race each other. That's just about 3/10 now. So we're on board with Jim List as he goes through the final corner. To get my track map back up. So it's definitely very close in the front of this ST field. And really, there's a couple of close ones all through the field. But this is where the battle is at right now.
On to lap 27 they go. 25 minutes left here. One driver that seems to be forging his own path in terms of pit stop strategy in the Mustangs is Brandon Whitworth. If we can get his stints up, if I can get them up for, road 2 anyway, which is him. Here we go. There is Brandon Whitworth. He's just been in the pits once. Pitted at the end of lap 15. Has been on an 11-lap stint since then. You can see that Shiflett and Dam just in front of him have been in twice. He's only been in the once, and he currently sits in 4th place. He will have to come in again at some point. He has got well, a 20-second advantage back to Leon Wright, so he might be able to stand a chance of something. But either way, this is a form of strategy that we haven't really seen for many of the other cars in the Mazda MX-5s, as here we are with just over 20 minutes to go, and he's only been into the pits once, so it literally is going to be splash and dash, as he's got Patti Iannucci breathing right down his neck now as he comes out of the first corner onto the mountain straight.
Yeah, Iannucci, more than likely, with the better speed, he's going to look to his inside, or maybe not, as Whitworth is going to defend a little bit to get around the 88, and I believe that was Bobby Childs who went way wide there going into the right.
It was Bobby Childs, the Mazda MX-5 with the pink wheels. We were talking about that earlier, and yeah, this battle for 4th place carries on. It might be pretty academic because Iannucci has been in for his second stop and Brandon Whitworth hasn't at all. But we'll see how it lasts anyway, as Mike Monaghan and Mike Taylor have crashed. Now, what has gone on here? These two, oh dear, hello, this is the S's, this might not end well. Trying to get past the Mazda here.
Yeah, coming into the dipper as well now. Oh, that was... Yeah, hard crash into the dipper, and that really hurt the Mustang as well. Yeah, and he's wedged in there.
There it is from on board Monaghan. Looks, Mike Taylor had already got it all sorts of wrong, as he says, trying to find him. Let me just rewind that back a few seconds. There it is again. Yeah, he'd already... yeah.
Too much speed on entry.
Glad you could explain that, because I had no idea how that came about anyway. Either way, that's him pretty much done for the race. First of all, he's going to have to tow back, and that's going to take a long time in itself. And then he's going to have to get those repairs done, and that'll take quite a long time too. Derek Holland in the Mandalorian racing car has just come into the pits now for his second stop of the race. As Travis Fenke, the man with the three stops, has just gone by. Jim List and Eric Violet, still very little to separate them. Here they are. You can also see at the top of the screen how the difference in best lap times of the race so far. Aeronom, the fastest lap of the race with a 2:23.65. Jim List with the... who's got the fastest lap in the Mazda RX-5s actually? It is Travis Fenke with a 2:32.9. So that's the difference in pace between the two. But around this part of the circuit, they're pretty much equals as List and Violet go at it again. And into the Forest Elbow, which is so crucial. Oh, that's a bit wide. This could open the door for Eric Violet now as we go down the Commonwealth Straight.
I think that this is when we're going to see some teamwork coming in here. List just going to kind of let Violet go by, pull back in line so that he doesn't lose them too much time to go on a straight pull back into the draft. He may try to get him back. No, he's just going to push him. No, he thought about it. Violet's leaving him the room, and he's going to make the move if he gets it stopped. Yes, he does. So Jim List back to the lead. Eric Violet back down to second. So it's a nice move from Jim List there. I think Eric Violet just thought he was going to try to go to the inside in the chase, but just decided, hey, I can make this work around the outside. Oh. Now leads him by over 0.3 of a second.
Took a lot of curb going through that final corner as well, did
yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was the one thing, especially like what Ty was saying. These suspensions can really take a pounding, especially when they were going through Murray's corner, which is the last corner of Bathurst, and it's amazing how strong these little cars are.
Yeah, these cars are definitely made to take a beating, and I know that all too good and well, because I do it myself. These cars are definitely built strong, and they can definitely take some bump drafting, take some bumping and banging. So yeah, these cars are a good little car.
Don't know if you've seen a clip of who I think was MX-5s going around Silverstone of the guy, one of the drivers having a driver pull alongside, and he just reached over and stuck his pulled his wing mirror in. So the driver he was racing with couldn't see who was in his mirrors. The passenger mirror, I think it was, that he pushed in. I think it was in Mazda X5s. That might be something worth checking out on the YouTube at some point. But the stories of racing, something that I know very little about. I am doing a 24-hour go-karting race in May though, with some of the people from Apex Racing TV. So that should be interesting. I'm sure we'll all hate each other by the end of it, as we've got yeah.
I was gonna say, honestly, if I had a passport, I would have loved to joined you out there.
I was about to say, I may have to jump on a plane. I can help you guys out a little bit.
Well, we'll wait and see. I'm sure we'll report back to you on how it goes. Hopefully we're all on speaking terms by the end of it anyway. 18 minutes to go. So we are very much inside the final quarter of an hour, or very much nearly approaching the final quarter of an hour. We're very much inside the final quarter of the race. It was in there somewhere as Eric Violet and Jim List continue their scrap for the lead. As you can see from the top 10 in the Ford Mustangs, there is very much to report on that. Brandon Whitworth hasn't come in for his second stop yet, but he has been passed by Patty Iannucci as Aero Nom briefly goes off the circuit. You would have seen that at the top of the screen. It hasn't done anything much. Over the last few laps, he's extended his lead. He's the only driver lapping inside the 224s. Aero Nom 224.9 on that last tour of the circuit. In comparison, Mike Dan was the second slower, 225.9. So cream always rises to the top, as they say. Tyler Vickery and Aero Nom, he is, as always, as he has proven, is continuing to do just that. As we have 17 minutes, or just over 16 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say as well. I think Mike is really hitting himself for taking the 4 tires instead of the 2, because I think that was the big make or break moment there, was when Mike stayed a little longer in the pits. I believe it was about like 4 seconds longer in the pits to get that left side tires changed. I think that was the make or break moment, as Brandon Whitworth finally comes in for a second stop. It's a very impressive run by him.
See how long it is. The shortest stop in the Ford Mustang class today was a 15.4 done by Pat Iannucci. He's only got to fill the car for about another 15 minutes, and away he goes. 13.67 second stop for Brandon Whitworth. We can also see, I was just having a look on the overlay at what else we could put on the display for you, and that is the driver's license and I rating. Highest I rating out of anybody there we can see there, unless someone is outside the top 10 in each class, is most definitely Aero Nom with the 6.8k I rating. But Travis Schwenke, he can do better than that. He has got not just an A license, but he's also got 7k I rating too. To put that in some context, my I rating is 1800, which is
you don't want to know.
I was going to say, you don't want to know my I rating either. It's, just going to say very low.
Yeah, Bobby Childs had a big moment there, but I can probably compare my I rating to Edgar St. and actually to Michael Key, because he's about the same range as where I am right now currently, which I need to work on my I rating anyways, especially if I want to be able to get up into top split IMSA, especially with the BMW.
Right, this is the race then in the Mazda MX-5s. Into the pits comes Jim List and Eric Violet with just a couple of laps to go. I remember earlier in the notes it said that it will be about a 35 to 36 lap race in the Mazda MX-5s, and we are on lap 32 now, so we're only going to have a few more tours of this circuit before we get to the end of it. Not only are we going to be interested to see where these two are going to emerge, we're also going to be interested to see how whereabouts John Allen is in all of this. He's already gone by. There he is. So John Allen, if this all works out for him, it is going to be a complete masterstroke in terms of the strategy. No tyres on the first round of stop. Came in a couple of laps later. In fact, if we can get his stint length up, actually, let's just see if we can get it up for you. Not for those guys. Looking at now I've got to do some maths. That's row 1, that's row 2, that's row 3, that's row 4, that's row 5, that's row 6. So we get it up now. No. Trying to get up the stint lengths for us. There it is. So John Allen, his first stint was 17 laps. Then and he took no tyres at the end of that. Then had a 3-lap stint, and then came in and got all 4, and he's back on his way again. And it looks like it's gonna as long as the fuel works out. Because he did pit very early, of course. Tyler Maxson, he's gonna be laughing all the way to the winner's circle here, because as you can see he's gained 5 spots as a result of it, and nobody is really there to challenge him. He's got a 6-second buffer to the next car, which is Jim List.
Yeah, he's got an absolutely huge lead right now. There's not really anybody to challenge him, so he can really just kind of just cruise his way back home to a win with just less than 13 minutes to go now, just about 12 minutes to go. So Dave Payton has to come into pit. Jim List, Eric Violet, they have all pit. So right now he's looking at just about a 13-second advantage over Jim List. So really nobody to challenge him, and he's just going to kind of be able to cruise his way to the end with less than, I would say, less than 5 laps to go in the rest of the race.
Yeah, here comes Payton now through the final corner. Is he going to come in? He is staying out. And in terms of where he came into the pit, so we can get his stint length up, if we change that to 11. And I get it up, there you go. He's been on, it looks like he's doing it pretty equally. Tyler Vickery, 16 laps opening stint for him. He's on lap 14 of his second stint now. So he might be timing this so that both stints are equal in length when he comes in a couple of laps. But it's not going to help him in terms of getting the win, because as we saw there, John Allen is already on the mountain straight just as he's coming onto it now.
No, but he does have an opportunity to try to stay ahead. Actually, might have an opportunity depending on how this battle goes, because looks like Jordy Fike has caught up to Jim List and Eric Violet. But depending on how that battle goes, he might have an opportunity to stay ahead of the three car battle of Jim List, Eric Violet, and Jordy Fike.
Well, yeah, because obviously when he comes into the pits, we are only going to have at most maybe 2 or 3 laps left. So in this class anyway, so it is literally going to have to be splash and dash for these guys, for Payton anyway, to get going again. He is the only driver, aside from Elvis Rankin, who is of course completely out of sync, having had to exit the session and rejoin again, that is yet to come into the pits for a second stop. So we are going to have to wait and see what he's going to do. Either way, this is the person you'd expect to come and take the checkered flag, so long as there is fuel in the car, and it is John Allen, and he has got a 15-second buffer back to Jim List in 3rd place in class. There is a good battle here though. This is between Jordy Fike and Travis Schwenke. Oh, it's not Jordy, Travis, it's Violet and Jordy Fike, I should say. Now these two came into the pits a couple of laps ago, and these two are still pretty much nose to tail as they go onto the back straight again. I wonder if they might fancy their chances of catching Jim List with a couple of laps to go here.
They'll definitely be pushing and trying to catch up to Jim List. At this point, for those two drivers, it's better just to keep pushing and to not try and battle, but it seems as if Jordy Fike is trying to battle, trying to get in the slipstream of that Mustang. It's about 200 kilometers an hour, you can see down there for Jim List. Absolutely maxing that car out in 5th gear, going into the chase.
Down to 3rd as he goes through that. Is this going to be... David Payton looks like he stayed out yet again. We've got 9 minutes to go. It's almost starting to creep into my head where he couldn't make this whole race last on just one stop, could he? Almost certainly not, will probably be the answer, but it is starting to look almost likely that he could be doing something of that ilk, because looking at his pit stop time, it was 31.4 seconds, his one and only stop in the race, David Payton. Just going to clarify that. Yes, it was. So he must have literally brimmed the tank, and I'm starting to be worried that he might just make it. Tyler Maxson.
Oh, sorry.
Whatever, one of you, whichever one.
I was just saying, just strategy-wise, looking at it right now, especially with David Payton pinning on lap 16, he's right now at his window, the next lap he'd be at his window to pit again because he'd be at a 16 laps. So, depending on how he did with fuel saving, this will be very interesting. Because if he was able to fuel save enough where he's able to pull off this win, it's going to be one of the biggest wins of his career in Ricmotech.
Now, there you can see he pitted on lap 16. He is now lap 34. And if you double 16, you get 32. So he's gone. This second stint has been longer than. Obviously, you've got to factor in lap 35 is what the Mustangs are on.
And they're getting ready to complete lap, and Peyton's getting ready to complete lap 32.
Yeah. Literally just seeing that on the time screen now. So yeah, Peyton is as you were saying just a second ago, he is pretty much completed the same amount of laps as he did in his first stint, and he's going to be coming in now. Surely, there he goes. Now, looking on the track map, David Peyton is going to relinquish the lead. There goes John Allen, flying over the curve, going through that final corner. But where's Jim List? Jim List is coming into the final corner now. And it is literally going to have to be a case of splash and dash for Peyton. So he will probably lose a place to Jim List. But you are right, Eric Violet and Geordie Fike, it might be close between those guys. Geordie Fike is just coming down the front straight now. It's longer than you'd think, 12.1 seconds. He's probably going to get passed by Fike and Violet. What about Schwenke? Schwenke's coming down the front straight now. So, looks like Peyton is going to emerge in first, second, third, fourth, fifth place in class with just a couple of minutes to go. And that is how the final round of stops in the Mazda MX-5s have taken place.
Yeah, and if Eric Violet and Geordie think if they start battling and also start battling with Jim List, if Violet can catch up to List, then that's just going to allow Peyton right into that battle. So he still has a chance for a podium and possibly even a top 2 finish here, which would be a great finish for him. Here at, in my opinion, one of the trickiest tracks on the calendar.
Indeed, yeah. I'm just about to go and have a look at what the calendar looks like for the rest of the season. After this one, of course, this series alternates on a on-off basis with the Ricmotech World Challenge. After this, we go to the Laguna Seca, the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the WeatherTech 60 on the 18th of March. That's this time next week for a 60-minute race. Then we go to Barber Motorsports Park on April Fool's Day, on Monday, April the 1st. Then Phillip Island in Australia. Really looking forward to that one. That would be a track that will really suit both classes well. Then we go to a track that Tyler Maxson probably knows well. He's talked quite a bit about it today, and that is Road Atlanta for the customary end-of-season showdown.
Yeah, one of my favorite tracks in the world right now, actually. One of my favorite tracks I've raced at. Super fun track, and it's going to be interesting how these guys go there, because these guys are going to have to be fighting tooth and nail there because the back straight is so long, so the draft there is going to be worth so much.
Should be good. Looking forward to it. Whole of the season will be here on Apex Racing TV. John Allen. Oh, no. Well, it was a remarkable strategy, and he's got a 15-second buffer. Now, he's going to have to be monumentally quick in the pits if he wants to emerge in the lead. That being said, he might still have a chance of getting out ahead of potentially David Peyton, as we are pretty much about... Look at that, that is one of the quickest stops you'll see today, 6.4 seconds. It's not going to be enough to keep him in the lead, not enough to keep him on the podium either, I don't think, unless he has a superly late race charge. In fact, he might just emerge ahead of one of these two cars. He's going to be wheel-to-wheel with Eric Violet here, and Geordie Fike too. So, all of a sudden, we've got the front four cars in the Mazda MX-5 separated by just over a second with a couple of laps to go. This is set up beautifully.
Yeah, with just about 2 laps to go. These guys are pretty much, you guys could cover these 2 through 4 with a blanket right now. These guys are all so close. And this is definitely going to be a fight till the end. It's going to be all the way down to the wire. The GS class pretty much settled right now. Aeronom's going to be your winner, and if he can just keep it clean for the next few laps. But the ST class all still to play for.
Look at this then as we go up the mountain. Just looking to see whereabouts Aeronom is on our track map here actually. Oh, he's going into the final corner, so we won't have to worry about him lapping us at all. But Jody Fike is trying to get a move done on Eric Violet going through McPhillamy Park here as we go over the top of the hill. John Allen will be getting a decent look at this, and Jim List, our race leader, will be saying, thanks guys, I'm going to try and make my escape here. You can just see him at the front of the shot as we descend through the S's at Brock Skyline. There's the dipper, and now we come through the left and the right and into Forest Elbow. Will John Allen try and make a move here? No, but we'll be able to set the cars up in front going on to the Conrod Straight. They're somewhere in amongst those trees. There they are. And now they get a power down the straight, and it looks like John Allen has got the speed here. He really has got the speed to get by Geordie Fike, and I think he might be about to do so.
And there goes John Allen on the inside, heading down the chase now. Gonna have enough momentum to make it stick. Now the question is, he might be able to make it 2 for 1 as they're heading towards Murray's Corner now. Yep, heading down the straightaway. John D. Allen should have the run, heading into Murray's Corner, looking on the outside as well. Oh, it's gonna be side by side. Coming out of Murray's Corner now, Geordie Fike's got a better run, but almost lost it at the end.
Over the line they go onto what potentially could be the final lap of the race. All depends on where Aeronom's going to cross the start-finish line at. Where is he going? Oh, and he could be about to lose another place to Geordie Fike there, and that might have maybe cost a potential shot at the win for all 3 of these cars here as they come up the hill. Jim List has now got a 1.5 second advantage. Where is Aeronom on the circuit? He is coming down the Conrod Straight now, so we are going to get the checkered flag. This is going to be the final lap of the race here. This is superly close as Geordie Fike tries to get past Eric Violet on the final lap of the race. It's been Violet v Fike for most of the race, and now they're going to go at it here, going into the cutting. This is almost certainly going to hand the victory to Jim List. It's up to 2 seconds now unless he makes a mistake. John Allen is desperately trying to get by them, but meanwhile, ever since the second round of stops, Aeronom hasn't had to worry about a thing. Through the final corner he comes, and he's going to take the checkered flag and win week 6 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you in part by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Second place is going to be Mike Dam, and rounding at the podium is set to be Tyler Shiflett, as once he crosses the line we'll be able to go back to our Ford Mustang scrap for what will be second place as Shiflett comes through the final corner now. There he goes, and here they are. John Allen.
That's 6 for 6 wins for Aeronom.
It's just remarkable, isn't it?
I'm looking at the season standings, but this battle all still to play for. These guys cannot get a win at this point, so it's just about who can finish second and third. Allen tries to go by Fike. He's going to get that move done, and he's going to be getting a massive toe on Eric Violet. Going to try to close the gap. He's closing it up really fast. He's going to have to try to make the move going into the chase, or maybe into the final corner, possibly.
God, look at the speed he carried in there. Remarkable.
Absolutely carried the speed.
Oh.
He's gonna have to try and make the move.
Oh, is our leader out of fuel?
Ooh. It sounds like it.
Either that, he was
coming out of Murray's Corner.
Either that, or he was just being a bit relatively easy with it. But nonetheless, Jim List wins the Mazda MX-5 class. Second is Eric Violet. Third is John Allen. And fourth is Geordie Fike in a race fraught with strategy. Charish Venki is going to get that 6th place in the end behind David Payton. I wonder what the reason was behind that third stop, that 9.1 second stop. I don't know whether that was in the plan or not. If it was, it definitely didn't work out. Finished in 6th place in the end. Derek Holland, Lewis Loper, in fact, these two are going at it for 8th and 9th, with Tormund demoted to 10th place to 9th place here in the late going. They've both got fuel in, but it's going to be a close scrap nonetheless to the end. I think Torman's just lost that place unless he wants to send it back up the inside into the final corner, but he is a bit too far behind for that. Excuse me, as Lewis Loper comes home to take 8th in class, Torman 9th, and all we're waiting for now is Bobby Childs to come through and round out the field. Well, the Ford Mustang race definitely settled down after the second round of stops, Tyler Maxson, but in terms of the Mazdas, that strategy game kept us on our toes right until the very end.
Yeah, they were definitely everybody. It was all to play for in the ST class. The GS class was just all really spread out after that second round of pit stops, but the ST class, like always, never fails to not excite, and was another exciting week in that class. Absolutely beautiful drive though by Jim List, and good strategy calls. Obviously, he takes the win by 1.3 seconds over Eric Violet. So it's a good, hard racing week. Very close racing. Overall, just a good race.
Tyler Vickery as well. The Ford Mustangs, Aeronom, what an achievement from him to just keep continuing winning, even though it looked like that Mike Dam was really his equal for the first 2/3 of the race, but once it got to the final stops, even right from when that stop was completed, Aeronom was just able to take off and was stretching his lead out to at the tune of about half a second a lap. He was that quicker.
I believe he's muted right now. But
all right.
Continuing on what you said, yeah, Aeronom, beautiful drive by him. Very close in that field though for the until the second round of pit stops, though, I must say. They definitely kept us on our toes. The entire field kept us on our toes, wondering about strategy at the first half of the race especially. But very good drive by Aeronom and Jim List, your winners in GS and the ST category.
The donuts.
A little bit of donuts.
Gotta have fun, right? I was expecting one of them to do the Bathurst jump, but it didn't seem like it, so...
Well, I'll have a look. Does Lewis Loper fancy it? No, he doesn't.
Nope.
Bobby Childs, you're our last hope, I think. If you are listening, take it away. But if he
doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, if it is, it's going to be the smallest takeoff in history.
Yeah, that thing's really not revving a lot. I don't think he...
No. Save it for the BSR MX-5s if they ever come here. They'll treat you to an air show.
Yeah, I'll make sure of that.
Just remember doing the BSR TC here last year where it happened. It was great. But yeah, as Bobby Charles returns to the pits, we can get the race results up, and I know that Aeronom's already sat in the interview room waiting patiently for us. So too's John Allen, so we'll speak to those guys in a moment. But here's the finishing order. John Allen's definitely got a story to tell. Aeronom wins, second for Mike Dam, third for Tyler Shiflett, fourth for Pat Iannucci, fifth for Kevin Ford, sixth for Brandon Whitworth in the No Hope Racing car, then Leon Wright, Russ Ruddock, Mike Monaghan, and Robert Brist rounding out the top 10. Some notes on that. Brandon Whitworth stretched his fuel run until a couple of laps to go. Was rewarded with a 6th place, only 3 seconds ahead of Leon Wright in the end. Then moving on to the Mazda MX-5s, Jim List wins with Eric Violet and John Allen and Geordie Feichel scrapping away for that second spot. It was Allen getting the better of Feich in the run to the line. Dave Payton finishing in 5th place with Travis Fenke in 6th. Interesting call there on the strategy by Travis. He looked like he had a good shot of winning before he made that third and final stop. Then Derek Collin, then Lewis Loper. And as we race on, it is Chris Torman, Bobby Childs, and then the cars that had issues during the race. Jacob Beasley, Elvis Rankin, Mike Key, Trent Brown, Mike Taylor, both Jeff Jacobs and Steve Daniel getting involved in issues during the race. And then Lyndon McMurphy, then Rob Hartley, who was out very early on. Not even too sure if he started. Neither did Raymond Bader and Ryan Cobb and Edgar Sancinelli, I am assuming, were in the stewards capacity for this race.
I believe neither of them started this race.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Ryan Cobb and Edgar Santinelli are the race control tonight.
There we go. Yeah, you've got to be in the session, so that's why they get put on the entry list. I think I remember once I joined as a driver just to spectate, and yeah, I even got classified as a non-finisher. Let's get our overall race winner, in for a quick chat. And here he is now. Another win for Aronon. Well done. On the endurance as well, with Mike Dan right with you for the first 2 stints. But once the final stint took place, once he got out of the pits, you were able to build that gap and have a relatively easy ride home after that.
Yeah, it was quite difficult race in the beginning. The quali, I messed up my 2 laps, so I had to do the 3rd lap on the old tires. So I was happy to get second in quali. So in the race, I managed to get the 1st place right away, and yeah, Mike was there. And after the stops, I took a risk and stayed out, so I can take more fuel. So my second step will be slower.
What was it like handling the traffic on the mountain? Did you catch much of the Mazdas at that point?
Yeah, the pit strategy meant that we avoided the most of the traffic in the first time, and the second stop also. So traffic was pretty good. I think a few times I got caught up, and Mike did too, so in the end.
Next week, we go to the Laguna Seca circuit in America. A few similarities just based on the elevation there. Plus, of course, you've got the corkscrew to deal with as well. How will the Ford Mustang tackle that part of the circuit in particular?
Yeah, I think it'll be very similar to this track. Downhill areas, I think, very similar. So I think I can't remember when I raced there last time in the Mustang, so it will be fun, low grip.
Yeah, should be. Before we let you go then, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, thanks all the league organizers, sponsors, director.
Great, well done on another win. Continuing to amaze really, but yeah, all the best, and we'll hopefully speak to you again after Laguna Seca next week.
Yeah, thanks, yeah.
Aeronom. Now we've got John Allen, who definitely has probably got the story of the race with the strategy element today. First of all, John, with the 3 stops, and it almost worked out to perfection for you, really. When you emerged from that 3rd and final stop, you were within just a couple of seconds of the race leader in the Masters.
Yeah. I always try and keep you guys entertained with my unusual strategies. I figured you wouldn't see the 3-stopper coming.
No.
It was completely accidental. I dropped the jacks too quick on the 4-tire stop, the 2nd stop, and decided to get my splash and go early, and then take the tires, given that the track was getting hotter, tires new for the final stint, and I do terrible with 2 tires, so it's 4 or none for me. And then I took off when the jacks dropped instead of letting that extra lap of fuel go in there with all that I had saved, and then I knew the delta was close. If I could just take 1 lap's fuel and go again, I might have a shot, and so I took as little as possible and actually sputtered again in the last 2 turns, even on that extra lap. So yeah, it was wild.
So even on that 2nd stop, you're only meant to be out on track for, I think it was 3 laps, and then come in and get those tires.
Yeah. I went in, took 1 gallon, left. I had saved a couple laps over the field, and got good traffic, through the Mustangs. Got good gaps and smooth passing. Couple mistakes on my own, but then I just needed to sit there for 3 more seconds, 5 more seconds at most, and there wouldn't have been a final stop. I'd have been sitting pretty.
In terms of how these strategies come about, is this something that you try out in the practice sessions at all, or is it all just maths and stuff like that you do before the race?
In the seasons that I have time to put in the practice, in the week leading up to it, yes, I try a lot of different things and have some scenarios in mind depending on traffic, especially for the two stoppers. I love the two stoppers, but this season I haven't had much practice time, so I am figuring it out on the fly by the seat of my pants, and you can see the execution slips a little bit when that happens.
Great. Well, Laguna Seca next week, we return to the 60-minute format, so the strategy is still going to, obviously they're not going to be as complex as we've seen today, but I'm sure you'll find a different way of rolling the dice in a 60-minute race.
Yeah, that's kind of become my thing. I've embraced it, so I usually don't have a set plan until I'm actually in the pits and have made my.
Great. Well, before we let you go today, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Just a good recovery race by Travis, like myself, having the extra stop in there, and good win to Jim, keeping his head down and plugging away despite the varied strategies, and a little bit of gamesmanship. His teammate Eric there at the end, not blocking but protecting very well, and making sure that we couldn't get to him and he could hold his spot. So it was all very well done, and a good finish.
Great. Well, well done on the podium, and you kept us entertained for the full duration of the hour and a half, and hopefully we'll be able to speak to you again after Laguna Seca next week.
Hope so. Thanks, guys.
John Allen there, and final thoughts from the two Tylers. Tyler Maxson, we'll start with you first. What did you make of that race?
That was a great race. Very tight all through the ST field. The GS field would have liked it to be a little bit more exciting, but the ST field never fails to excite, and hadn't failed to excite tonight either. It was a good race, though. Everybody kept it relatively clean. A little bit of mistakes I was seeing a little bit further down, like just through the field, but pretty good race by everybody.
And Tyler Vickery, the dominance at the front of the field again from Aaron on was there for us all to see. And I think you said earlier, 100% record this season. It's going to have to be. I think he's going to have an issue with himself, I think, if he's not going to continue running away with the rest of the season.
Yeah, honestly, it's going to have to be a big critical error that it takes him at least out of the race for a good few minutes or so to have any shot at someone else winning the race. I mean, Mike Dam did everything he could in that race where he was able to keep up, but I think, lo and behold, I honestly feel if Mike followed Arrow with the two tire strategy instead of the 4, I think we would have had a little bit of a closer race. But I mean, overall, it's still great race by them. Great battling in the ST class as well. There was some strategies I was not expecting, and it definitely showed.
Great. Well, that is about it then here at the Mount Panorama circuit here in Bathurst. Because of the hour change on the in the United States, it means that it's only 20 past 2 in the morning here in the UK, and we're all grateful for that, obviously. But my thanks to Tyler Maxson and Tyler Vickery for stepping into the commentary box to join me for this one. I believe it's the turn of Alex Simpson next week, so he'll be here for the return of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series to the 60-minute format at the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. The name's changed. WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, and that'll be getting underway. I believe the hour still will not have changed in the UK by this time next week, so we'll be 12:30 a.m. GMT. So make sure you can join us for that. And that pretty much is it from us here in the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. So from all of us, from me, from Tyler, and from Tyler here at Bathurst, bye for now.
Focus. determination, passion, stamina, and the will to win. The end result, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Motorsports brings you the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, brought to you by Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment, and by Proforma, Elite Texas Graphics, live Mondays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern.